Richard's in Chelmsford. Richard, what would you like to say?
Yeah, hello, James. Been looking forward to this.
Go on, mate.
Yeah. Basically, I don't think it's about the curtsy itself.
What isn't?
I think it. Well, that was your conversation, right?
Yeah, but what isn't about the curtsy? The anger and the outrage.
Yeah. Well, her presentation of what she's saying.
Of the
I
curtsy.
don't think it's about the curtsy
Right.
itself.
No.
I think it's about the sort of character that she is.
Yeah.
Which seems obviously quite vindictive.
Right.
Because I think it's evident that she had split up with a few partners in the past.
God, really?
And sent a ring in the post, just dropped her boyfriend. I think he was a restaurateur or something,
God.
and he was going to further her career.
Right. Where did you learn this?
This morning.
No, but where? Where did the information come from?
Oh, Talk Radio, your favourite.
What?
Yeah, I know you're laughing, James. Yeah, I know you would, because you think you're the bee's knees, aren't you, mate?
Richard, you were looking forward to this. Let's not let it fall apart quite so early.
No, I am looking forward to
this.
So
you heard on a radio station that she once sent a ring to an ex, and now you know what her character really is.
No, you can.
But
see
why
it.
didn't you hear on this radio? No, you carry on.
Yourself?
You crack on, mate.
Don't you see it yourself? I mean, I don't actually think that you believe what you're saying. I think you're a provocateur, and that's the whole basis of your show, isn't it?
And now we're talking about me.
But it's always about you, isn't it?
No, we're talking about Meghan Markle and your insights into her character gleaned from listening to a different radio station an hour ago.
Yeah, they had Richard Tice on earlier. You know, the one that you had out in Keckner's.
Yes, I told him to
That's
F
right,
off.
yeah.
Why are we talking about that now, Richard?
No, I'm just sort of saying that because you asked me where I heard it. That's all.
But you'd already told me.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Richard? Really? Do you think here?
But how do you mean?
Well, you've got on the radio. You said you were really looking forward to it, and
I am because
what are you
just
telling me,
bullied the
Richard?
girl on radio.
What do you think you're telling me?
You just bullied a poor girl on the radio. She's speaking a lot of sense, and you're just trying to humiliate her.
Okay, I mean that's a criticism that I have now heard. But why are you here?
I am here because I'm telling you I think she's a very vindictive character.
Based on what?
I know people.
Yeah, go on.
I've met people that have gone out with partners that think they're the bee's knees,
right.
And when the attention doesn't come their way, they think they're queen bee. I've been out with women like that myself. And,
right, you've been out with women like Meghan Markle, Richard.
Obviously, they haven't been on the Suits. Oh God! I'm just saying that character. They think they're high maintenance types,
right?
And attention seeking.
Okay, why are you giving her so much attention?
Why am I giving her so much attention? I've just brought it up because that's your subject, and it's this whole big thing. This is, I'm sort of in relation to what the last lady said. There's people that won't be able to afford to heat their homes and everything, and everybody's making a big thing about.
Why have you never rung me about them?
Huh?
Why have you never rung me about them? We were talking about them yesterday.
But you don't care about food banks.
We were talking about them yesterday. Why didn't you ring me then?
I've tried to ring you several times.
Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe. Today we're delving into a fascinating conversation that took place between radio host James O'Brien and a caller known as Mark. This conversation revolves around a familiar figure that we've all come to know, Meghan Markle. James kicked off the discussion, noting the hour and the seemingly perpetual topic of Meghan Markle, who he amusingly suggests lives rent-free in many people's minds. He then invites Mark from Reading to share his thoughts. Mark doesn't hold back. He admits quite bluntly that he simply doesn't like Meghan. When probed by James to elaborate, Mark struggles to pinpoint a specific reason. Instead, he cites a vague sense of discomfort, likening Meghan to a manipulative character, always playing the victim. James, ever the inquisitive host, pushes Mark to clarify his statement, asking what he means by people like her. Mark responds with a personal anecdote, comparing Meghan to his ex-girlfriends, who he claims started off sweet and innocent, but later turned out to be controlling. James then challenges Mark's viewpoint, pointing out the rather glaring fact that Mark has never actually met Meghan Markle, yet he dislikes her based on his past experiences with other women. Mark concedes to this point, affirming that his dislike for Meghan is indeed due to the resemblance he sees between her and his exes. James questions the fairness of Mark's judgment, drawing a parallel to a hypothetical scenario where he dislikes Mark because of a bad experience with someone else. Mark attempts to argue, but James cuts him off, pointing out that Mark's issues with Meghan aren't really about her, but about his unresolved issues with his ex-girlfriends. As we wrap up this first part of the conversation, Mark is left with a realization. His dislike for Meghan Markle might be more about him than her. Mark, you've made your point clear. You dislike Meghan Markle because she reminds you of your ex-girlfriends. But is that a fair judgment? Stay tuned as we continue to unpack this intriguing dialogue in our next segment. Mark, let me get this straight. You've never met Meghan Markle, yet you dislike her because she reminds you of your ex-girlfriends. It's an interesting perspective, isn't it? Disliking someone because they remind you of someone else. It's like disliking a song because it was playing when you had a bad day. The song isn't to blame for your bad day, just like Meghan Markle isn't to blame for your past relationships. But let's delve into this a bit further. You've painted Meghan Markle with the same brush you've used for your exes. You've taken your personal experiences and projected them onto her. But is that fair? Imagine if we all did that. If we all disliked people because they reminded us of someone who hurt us. The world would be a pretty lonely place, wouldn't it? But let's go back to Meghan. You've never met her. You don't know her. Your only understanding of her comes from what you've seen in the media. And we all know how reliable the media can be, right? So you've taken your past experiences, mixed it with media portrayals, and created this image of Meghan Markle that you dislike. But let's be clear here, that image isn't Meghan Markle. That image is a reflection of your past and your perceptions. It's not a fair or accurate representation of who Meghan Markle is. This isn't just about fairness to Meghan Markle, though. It's about fairness to you. Every time you project your past onto someone else, you're not giving yourself a chance to move on. You're not giving yourself a chance to heal. Mark, it sounds like you've made Meghan Markle a stand-in for your personal baggage. Maybe instead of disliking her, you could try therapy. Therapy isn't a dirty word, Mark. It's a tool that can help you unpack your past, understand your feelings, and maybe, just maybe, let go of the anger that's clearly holding you back. Mark, you say you don't need therapy, but you've spent time and energy calling a national radio show to complain about a woman you've never met. Now, that's a curious thing, isn't it? You've devoted a sizable chunk of your day, your precious time, to vent about a woman who, let's face it, has never crossed paths with you, and likely never will. And why? Because she reminds you of past relationships? Because she bears a passing resemblance, in your mind, to women who've hurt you in the past? That's not about Meghan Markle, Mark. That's about you. That's about the ghosts from your past that you've allowed to shape your present. Don't you see? It's not about disliking Meghan Markle or any other public figure. It's about disliking a part of yourself, a part that you've not yet come to terms with. It's about unresolved feelings, lingering bitterness, and unhealed wounds from your past relationships that you've projected onto an innocent bystander. Now, I'm not a therapist, but it's clear to see that you're carrying around a heavy load. And instead of dealing with it, you've chosen to offload it onto someone else, someone who just happens to be in the public eye. That's not fair to her, and it's certainly not fair to you. You see, Mark, therapy isn't a sign of weakness. It's not about being crazy or broken. It's about understanding yourself better. It's about learning to navigate your feelings and emotions in a healthier way. It's about healing from past hurts and moving forward. Remember, your past doesn't have to define your present, nor dictate your future. It's never too late to seek help, to learn, to grow, and to heal. And who knows, you might just find that the world looks a little brighter, a little less hostile when you're not viewing it through the lens of past hurts. Mark, Meghan Markle isn't your ex. She's not responsible for your past relationships. She doesn't even know you exist. Mark, maybe it's time to just let it go. Meghan Markle isn't your ex. Those are some heavy words, aren't they? But sometimes we all need to hear them. We need to be reminded that our pasts are not our present, and the people we meet are not the ghosts of our history. Here's the thing, Mark, and anyone else who might be listening. We all carry baggage. We've all been hurt, betrayed, blindsided by someone we trusted. And it's easy to see the shadows of those past hurts in the people we encounter, especially if they're in the public eye, like Meghan Markle. But here's the kicker. Meghan Markle is not your ex. She's not the woman who broke your heart, or the person who left you feeling betrayed. She's a woman living her own life, dealing with her own challenges and making her own choices. It's easy to project our past relationship traumas onto someone else, especially someone we'll never meet. It's a way of avoiding our own pain, our own healing. But it's not fair to that person, and it's certainly not fair to you. You've spent time and energy calling a national radio show to express your dislike for a woman you've never met, based on comparisons with your past relationships. But what if you spent that time and energy instead on healing from your past? On understanding why those relationships hurt you and how they've shaped your perceptions? Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending that the hurt never happened. It means acknowledging the pain, learning from it, and then releasing it so it no longer controls your present. So Mark, I hope you'll think about this. Meghan Markle isn't the cause of your past relationship problems. She's just a woman, like any other, trying to navigate her life in the best way she knows how. It's time to let go of the baggage you've been carrying and start looking at people for who they really are, not who your past tells you they might be. Mark, thanks for the call. It's been illuminating. Our host, James O'Brien, begins to wrap up the conversation. He's been speaking with Mark, a caller who's admitted to his irrational dislike for Meghan Markle based on his own personal experiences with ex-girlfriends rather than any actions or behaviours from Meghan herself. James continues, "You know, Mark, I think our conversation today has shed light on a broader issue. It's not just about you or Meghan. It's about how easy it is for us to project our own experiences, our own biases onto others. And often those others are public figures like Meghan Markle." He pauses, letting the weight of his words sink in before he continues. We all carry baggage from our past relationships, our past experiences. It's part of being human. But it's important to remember that our past is not a lens through which we should view the world. It's not fair to others, and it's not fair to ourselves. James takes a moment to reflect, then adds, "Perhaps, instead of viewing Meghan through the lens of your past relationships, you could try to see her as she is, a woman who has faced her share of challenges, who has made her own choices, who is living her life on her own terms. And remember, she's not responsible for the actions of your exes. She's just being herself." He concludes the call saying, "I think we could all do with a reminder to check our biases at the door, to remember that our past experiences and personal feelings do not define others. It's something to think about, isn't it?" James wraps up the show with a final thought. "Remember, everyone, it's important to keep our personal biases in check. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe." His words echo in our ears, a reminder to all of us to be more mindful, more understanding in our judgments of others.